Let's make it 3-5. 3 more minutes to go.
Sure, makes sense.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good afternoon, sir.
So, very good afternoon to all. Thank you, Ms. Sneha, for accepting our invitation to be the speaker for today. So, let's not wait for more participants. As they keep joining, let us get started. So, very good afternoon once again, and welcome you all for this Tech Talk series. So, Tech Talk is organized by Osmania Technology Business Incubator, Osmania University, at every alternate Wednesday. And today's topic is on design thinking, where Ms. Neha will be addressing. So, Ms. Neha, I think you can introduce yourself and you can get started with the session. Thank you.
Sure, thank you. Hello, everyone. I think I'm very glad to be with all of you here. But before I get started, I just want to ask you a couple of things. Do all of you have access to chat? Like, can you chat? Can you type? Say yes. Like, I want to make this session interactive, and I'm actually glad we are a small group. So I'll be able to chat with all of you, and you can reply on chat, and I can talk if. Okay, I see Umad is saying yes. How about all of you? Would that be okay? Or if you all are open to talk, that's great.
Yes, sure.
Okay, that's great to hear. Okay, so I'm just gonna share my screen. Yeah, so I'm Sneha and I'm here to talk about design thinking today and how you can solve problems with empathy and creativity. I know it's a tech talk and the format is a 1 hour of talking by a speaker, but I'd really like this to be a more interactive session because that's majorly how design works. So I'm Sneha Murali, and it's been I'm pretty much a go-getter, and I try to put my foot everywhere I can, kites. So I've studied retail design, and I have an MBA in innovation, and I'm currently even studying anthropology. So I'm a learner like you. I spend most of my day studying, and that's what makes I think things going. So research is something that drives me. I'm currently my work, what I do professionally is around research. I do design research for companies, and also the way design functions is primarily on one of the pillars is research. So that's given me a boost to talk more about design as well. So going ahead, how many of you, how do you solve problems? Like have even I think the bigger question is actually I'd like to get to know more about all of you. What do you all do? Are you all studying in Osmania or you can chat or you can just reply?
I'm working as a professor at Avanti College, ma'am.
Okay.
I'm Dr. Renuka.
Hello, Renuka.
Hi.
How about some others? Or I'll just start picking up names. I'm good at that, huh? Okay, Aradhana, what did you do? We can't hear you, but are you typing? Ah, you're with the college incubator. Okay. Anyone else? Anyone here who's studying currently? Or all of you are part of the teaching faculty? This will help me curate my talk for you. No worries. Seema, what do you do? Okay, Syed, how about you? What do you do?
I'm finally a EC student.
Okay, that's nice. How about you, Nishant?
So sorry, the technical glitch. So yeah, so I was recently working in Procter and Gamble as a material development scientist,
Okay,
and currently I'm planning to come back to India, and that is how I connected with Dr. Hafiz as well. So probably I'll be picking up the innovation fellow position here.
oh, that's
So
nice.
so yeah, so happy to hear your talk. Talk on design thinking. I already have done this with the University of Heidelberg, but I'm really curious as to your experience as well to this background. So really
Sure.
looking forward to it. Thank you.
Okay. So I get an idea. A few of you are working, few of you are in college, almost finishing there. Okay. So, what, according to you, is a way to solve a problem? And I must be very honest, if this is not interactive, this session is going to be really boring. Like, the only way to do this session is by you communicating with everyone. So, feel free to unmute yourself, talk, or chat if you're in a noisy environment. Okay, that's good to hear from Seema and Anushka on the chat. But going to the next question ahead, how would you solve a problem? Like, what process would you use? Any idea? Like, I would with and test this product. Is this what you wanted? Is this working? So when you empathize, you realize go through this step by step. While I go through this, I'm going to take you through a design process which was followed in Final Mile. It is one of the design consultancies in India. And they took this case up pro bono in Mumbai. Uh, the railway crossing tracks. Mumbai is a dense city with a lot of railway crossing tracks, and their public transportation system is vast. So what happens is too many railway crossing and people start not too many railway lines actually, and people are not exactly using the crossing but actually jumping through the railway lines. And this was a safety issue. And for all you news, way back in 2011, there were more deaths by unnatural deaths by road by train accidents than they could even think of in Bombay. And the railways couldn't actually tackle it because they were not looking at what is the behavior behind how people make this decision of crossing the lines. They were not understanding the details of how their customers felt, or the people who were crossing, how did they feel, why was this happening. So while I take you through the design process, let us see as to how Final Mile solved this problem. So the very first step, empathy. First, you figure out who your users are. So if you are trying to solve a problem of, say, food, so you figure out for whom are you solving a problem of food. Are you looking at around your college, around your community in the building, or what kind of people, where do they live, where are they from, what are their lives like? So you kind of figure out who are they, and then understand what they need. Do they really need food, or they really need good food or hygienic food? Like, food is easily accessible everywhere. So try to understand what is actually their need deep inside. So what did they do at Final Mile for the railways? So they started seeing how crossing rain track was unavoidable. There was no other way. There was not a footboard. There was the only way to go through sometimes was the railway track. And this was a major problem because there was no other way. And people were crossing even when they saw a train was coming. So what tended to happen was, you when you're crossing even roads today, you look at how fast is that vehicle coming. You know, the two-wheeler guy is zooming past and you will not cross, but you see this auto guy still looking for a savari, he's coming slowly, you'll be like, he's not going to come fast. So you look and visually judge their speed, and that's exactly what people were doing even with trains. They were visually judging the speed and running past the tracks. But this is something we know. Why should we ask our users, right? Like, if we sat in a room and we spoke about how people cross roads, we would think of it. But it's not that simple. So in design process and design thinking, there is this map that we use. Like, you must have heard of SWOT, strengths, weakness, opportunity, threats, that they use for marketing. A similar one is think, feel, say, do. So let me take an example and explain you this map. So I'm sure many of you would have tried online dating, or if not, this might be a reason why you'll know more about it. So sometimes for young people, online dating is a nightmare, and that's what they would say. But actually, what they think is, why are all my matches so far away? Why is no one like in this area? Why are everyone like in Gachibowli? Why do I have to go till there to meet someone? Why can't I find someone locally? And how do they feel? Is they're still skeptical of the process, they're quite frustrated and confused. But still, what they do is, at least once a day, they will log on to the app and try to swipe, look for a perfect match. So you're doing exactly opposite of what you're saying. If it's a nightmare, you should be uninstalling the app. You wouldn't be using it every day. But as a process, you are sometimes so engrossed in it, even if it's a nightmare, you just want your luck to hit on it. So you will log in onto it every day. So this is the difference between what a user says and what they do. And this understanding will not come overnight. This is done with research. So the kind of research you might do academically is, you look at papers or you look at existing secondary research material, and you might do a couple of surveys, and then you might talk to your professors, or you might find experts in the industry and do research with their learnings. Depend a lot on Google, or who know, even Chat GPT. But in the research I am talking about, you spend maximum time with the customer, with whoever is using the product, or whoever plans to use the product as well. So there are three major kind of research that is followed. One is a generative. So if you want to make something new, say in the field of clothing, and you want to make something new for clothing for women who are into work line women clothing for India. So then you want to explore what kind of clothing do they need. So that would be tend to be a generative research, where you spend time with them to understand what are their needs, explore openly. Here you don't have a benchmark, or you don't have a closed eye view that I'm testing only this. You're literally testing everything in the palette. And then there's something called an evaluation research. Here you're getting feedback. So now you've designed, you did your generative research, you realize women need clothing that is comfortable to wear for hours together. I'm just talking out of my head, but as an example. But now you have 4 or 5 clothing, and before you launch, you want to see if they will work. So you do a evaluating research. So you gather your feedback just on these. And when you evaluate your designs, you tend to like, you make a prototype, you test it, you make a prototype, you test it. So evaluation is then used at the testing phase. So you take the feedback and try to make this even better for the next time. And then you validate it. Finally, you're going to put it in the market. It's launched there, it's out there. And now you need to figure out how well this is working. So you might realize, the clothing is nice, but the price range, and that is not something you had considered during evaluation. In your evaluative study, you were looking only at the fabric. The price range in which it's launched is totally different. So then you need to change somewhere there. So now you do a validative research to understand what is actually happening with this product in the market. So again, you're out on field and talking to your customers there while they shop for something. So this is how you empathize with a user. Now, this can again vary. These are like the top 3 methods of doing it, but this can vary from how you go about it. Survey would be the most simplest way to do it, and the most difficult way would be an ethnography, where you actually spend days with them. And then you have 4 or 5 clothing, and before you launch, you want to see if they will work. So you do a value-based research to understand what is actually happening with this product in the market. So again, you're out on field and talking to your customers there while they shop for something. And in design, sometimes this process is followed as an agile process. Like in 1 week, let's use this entire process and figure out something new. So that time you choose, like you figure out 10 customers, spend a day with all 10 of them, like 1 hour, and you're done. Or if you're doing a big project, like something like COVID or something which is going to impact our society in a big level, like the railway project that we are discussing about, you might need to spend more time to understand their behavior. So once you have all their behaviors done, you know what, how you want to empathize and what is the problem you have to solve. You define your question now. You define as to what actually is your problem, and you frame a question around it. And most of the research questions go like, how might we solve? So it is not, I think, or a customer has a problem. It starts with how might we. That is addressing that we as a group, like what this is the problem and how do we solve it. So it is a more generic way of looking at it, then specifically pointing out that, customer is not able to understand what is on the screen. That is blaming the customer. But why do we have to blame the customer when our problem is how might we solve visual communication on the screen, when it's that simple? So you look at it from a third person's view now. You're no longer attaching yourself to a problem or to the empathizing overly with your customer. You look at it from a neutral way on how do we solve it. And once you have your questions, you gather inspiration. You look at images, look at how things have, now you get into all your secondary research, how this already been done. You spend time reading, you ask experts. So these come as gathering inspirations. Any questions so far? Anything you would want to ask? Okay, I'm going to go ahead, but you can always type your question and my chat screen is on, so I can see your question if you're typing it up. So the next thing is you generate ideas. This is the most fun part of research, where you can think, you unlimitedly think, and you don't put a limit on, oh, actually you need a lot of money for that, and for this project we don't have money, so we'll scratch it off now. No, now we are just generating ideas. Think of the most craziest ideas that you can. So in the example we were talking about, the railways, people were still crossing, there were a lot of fatalities, people were dying because they're crossing the railway tracks, and the behavior was they're still going to cross when they see even a train is coming. So they think they can beat the speed of the train, and that gives them the confidence of crossing at that moment. The easiest way to look for ideas is brainstorming. Brainstorming is, again, you sit in a session, you sit collaboratively, and you discuss ideas without any bias. You are not wondering, oh, our professor is here or the principal is here, so I should not say the principal, whatever principal says is correct. No, everyone's equal in the brainstorming room, and we all think together. uh, I'd like us to try it for like 5-10 minutes, or 20 of you here. Even if all of us are giving ideas, that's great. So for the railways, what would have been the most ideal situation to stop fatalities, stop people from crossing the roads, crossing the railway tracks in a wish, or if they just think of it and they cross? What solutions could the company take to simply stop people from crossing railway tracks? Electric fence, okay. What else? You can type it, make them fly. Yeah, sure. We can try that. Yes. You guys should start chatting up, or else I'm going to call names. That's really bad. If we're in a room, I wouldn't know your names, but now I do. Underground trains, okay. What else can we do? And I want other people also to be a part of this. Mohammed, what do you think? What can we do to make people stop crossing railway tracks?
Like pedestrians crossing on roads, like
So, like a footpath? Or you mean pedestrian? Oh, you mean like a zebra cross? Is it? Okay.
No, it's like a bridge.
Oh, like a bridge. Okay, great. Yeah, we could have bridges. What else? Foot over bridge, right? What else can we do? Prerna, do you have any ideas? Nazim, how about you?
No idea.
But okay, how about put yourself in a situation? How would you signal crossing? How would you cross the railway track if you're stuck in a position where you have to cross the railway track? You have to get on the other side of the railway track, and what would you have preferred rather than crossing the railway track? Renuka, any idea? Escalator. Okay.
Subways and flyovers, ma'am.
Subway.
Apart from that, if whenever train comes, gates will be there. No? If gates will be closed, then the passengers will cross after the gates will get on.
Makes sense. If we had flyovers and subways, or you had gates, that's workable. Okay. Anyone else wants to give it a try? Drone pickup. Yeah, that's very creative, Mr. Ratnam, but I'm not sure if that's what they actually implemented. Uh, I'm wondering if I can hear from you people. Like, I don't think I've heard. Aradhna? Vaishnavi, are you online? What do you think can be a solution? Foot over bridge. Okay, you mentioned earlier. Okay. 33G Unit 3 Vishwani? Am I spelling your name wrong? But what do you think can be a solution? Okay, I think I've troubled you enough, and I'm going to go ahead to what actually happened. The team got even more crazier. They designed solution in a non-conscious level. So they actually put up pictures of how it would feel or how it actually happens when you're getting pushed by a train. This was one solution of it. And another way is, so actually people are crossing looking at how fast the train is coming. And how do you judge that? On a road, you can see it passing through, the nearby vehicles. It's a relative speed that you're judging. So to judge relative speed, they actually painted yellow tracks. They painted like these tracks in yellow color. So they painted them at different intervals. So you could see them crossing past those intervals, and it will be like, oh, they're coming faster. They're actually using relative speed as they're giving you clues for relative speed as a solution to see, oh, how fast is the vehicle coming? Okay, now is not when I should go. They gave them
Anyhow, if the train is slow, they'll anyhow cross.
yeah, but then they would not die. The problem is when if the train is slow and I still cross, there's no injury caused most times. The problem is when the train is fast, I'm not able to judge how fast the train is coming. That's when a person might die at that situation. Or be hit by the train, not necessarily die.
You said you how to avoid people from crossing.
So this helped them. So one thing that they did was this. They put up faces of people. So this would actually unconsciously make you scared. The problem is now people crossing. Maybe they realized, like how Ratnam was talking about, is people are dying because of train being hitting them. And at all places, like in such a large city like Mumbai, it was not actually possible to build bridges everywhere. It was a big, a lot of funds for it, and And not always fencing worked, because over time people removed fences and people got creative with ways to break the fence and go in. Again, this is not a foolproof solution, but this solution did help Indian Railways in actually reducing the amount of fatality that actually happened. Does that make sense? I'm open to ideas. The entire point of design is you're always open to ideas to discuss solutions. Okay, I'm going to go ahead. So this was the solution by by final mile for the railways. But in the process of design thinking, another process is to make it. So if you see, they used a poster or paint. So those were actually, they started them as even as early prototypes. So you tend to make things to realize how better you can solve a problem. And their first pilot for the train safety, it reduced fatality of over 75% in over just 1 year. This was the success rate for this particular concept. So earlier I was talking to you about how when you gather ideas, like we had so many ideas on the table for how we can solve people from not crossing the road. The next step is to choose ideas. Which do we actually implement? A easy way to do it is by following the simple A plus B kind of thing. So a good design is that one which has, yes, the fatality rate was the percentage of, was their success percentage that they were measuring, and not by how many people actually cross the road. So yes, coming back to how do you choose a good design is both by figuring out what is the good function. Is it solving a function? And again, the form of it. So basically, in simple words, how it helps people, does it have a functional value to it? And then how it looks. The looks don't